Welcome. You're watching Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life, with your host, Danny Pabone and Rifle Scudder.
Welcome to Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life. This is a very, very special episode because we are recording live, or I am live at least, from Peachtree City, Georgia. I'm here at a summit meeting with a bunch of investor friends and business owners. We're having a great time. And yeah, we're having a great time. And I appreciate all of them being here supporting the podcast. As always, I'm joined here with my friend Rifle. Rifle, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Danny. Got to wait 8 more hours before the next game, so only half asleep, and I'll be up and ready in front of the TV screaming and shouting. So very excited. How are you doing?
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm here with about 30 of friends that have met over the past years. And like I said, we're having a great time. And we're recording this special episode because this podcast came from a potential investment. And that's how this podcast was born. And I have a very special friend here who has been on the podcast before, actually, uh, during our Christmas episode, Mr. Earl Davis. You see him there. Thank you, Earl, for being here. He's been one of my mentors in investing and in life over the past 7 years or so. And I appreciate him being here, sitting actually right next to me. Earl, if you could probably scan the crowd here and just show his beautiful backyard. We are actually broadcasting from his beautiful backyard. So he's just going to scan there. Say hello, everybody. So we're enjoying a beautiful day here. And as you can see, he has a, hello? He has a beautiful lake as his backyard. So thank you, Earl, for hosting us. Thank you for being one of my mentors over the past 8 years. I really appreciate all you do and all you will continue to do. Thank you for being here.
You're very welcome.
So again, with that, we're gonna continue this special episode. Rifle, before we start this very special episode, do you have any words?
No, I'm very excited to hear what Earl's going to say. As you said, being my mentor as well. So everything I know from stocks and options, I've learned from him, and investing and all of that. So very grateful for him, very honored to call him a friend, and looking forward to what he has to say about the rugby investment and everything that's happening with the National Rugby Football League.
Yes, here the same as you know, Rifle. Well, obviously you know, but to all those who are watching this very special episode, the reason this podcast exists is because of Earl Davis, this man sitting right next to me. And the reason I say that is because Mr. Earl Davis, who's an investor and trader, and again, one of my mentors for the past 8 years now, introduced me to a developing professional rugby league that hopefully will kick off soon here in the United States. I'm very excited. Can't wait for that day when the season kicks off. In 2024, or 23, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me correct, I had an opportunity to invest in a professional sports league. And Rifle, you know, I'm a huge sports fan. And just to think that I have the ability to invest in a professional sports league, I was like, living in the clouds. I was in heaven. I can't believe this. I'm a huge sports fan, and I have the ability to invest in a professional sports league. So I was excited. Unfortunately, you needed to meet certain requirements or criteria to invest in a league, I did not meet all those criteria, and when I found that out, I'm not gonna be lying, I was a little devastated, but it is what it is. I wasn't able to invest in the league. So yeah, that's the thing. However, we're trying to grow the game of rugby. You know that, right? For here in this country, in America. And jokingly, I don't know if you remember this, Rifle. We have a WhatsApp group that talks about rugby, and we send messages every once in a while. You send updates on different rugby games and tournaments on this WhatsApp group chat. And I remember you had sent a message one day giving us a little update on one of the tournaments, and you had given a little analysis. And me jokingly had said, Rifle, you should become a rugby broadcaster. You'll be great at it. You're so good at explaining the game of rugby. Now, what happened was a friend that I've grown close to, two people that I've grown close to over the past few years, by the name of Damian Dean and also Kevin Smith, both investors, both business owners, pretty much said, hey, maybe you should start a podcast of some sort and teach the game of rugby to the group and to all our investor friends and business owner friends. So I got on WhatsApp chat, told Rifle, hey man, I would like to speak to you about an idea that I have. Rifle said, yes, let's meet on Monday. This was, I believe, a Friday afternoon. Let's meet Monday night. We met Monday night. I spoke to Rifle, hey, we should create about 3 or 4 videos explaining the game of rugby. Then, I'll send over those videos to Earl Davis, and whatever he wants to do with those videos, he could do. Whatever he feels he wants to do with those videos, and whatever. We started recording the videos, and then all of a sudden, me and Rifle was like, actually, we're enjoying this. So 4 videos turned into 5, then turned into 6, then turned into 7, then turned into 8. And then finally, me and Rifle was like, you know what? We should just make a podcast about this. And to make a long story short, 2 things that happened also within 2 weeks of us coming up with this idea and started recording the videos. Again, Mr. Damian Dean, for all those who have been watching our episodes, we appreciate you watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like, comment. We really want to grow this channel and spread the gospel of rugby to as many Americans as possible, because it's a great sport. So Damian Dean's wife, I found out about 4 or 5 months previous, is a voice actor. And I remember that. I was like, it would be nice to have an introduction to our podcast. So once again, I messaged Damian. I told him, hey, I remember your wife is a voice actor. Can she help us out? She was like, of course. So 3 days later, we have our voice over introduction for Rugby with Rifle podcast. Our logo that everybody sees behind me, again, I put out a message to our wonderful group of friend business owners and investors. Hey, does anybody have any graphic design experience? Literally half hour later, a fellow friend by the name of Irene, hey, my husband has some graphic designing experience. He would love to help. Literally 6 hours later, we have this logo for Rugby with Rifle. So we have an introduction and a Rugby with Rifle logo literally in less than a week, which is just amazing. And that's how this podcast was born. And now we're at episode 49, Rifle, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. Please forgive me. We recorded so many episodes.
49, correct, yes.
We're at. 48, 49, 48. I think somebody said 48. Thank you.
49.
I don't even know. So again, thank you everybody for supporting this podcast, and I hope that you continue to support this podcast. And I just wanted to, before I hand it over to Mr. Earl Davis so that he could speak about the National Rugby Football League, I just wanted to share something that I found very exciting and very interesting. And what I feel is something that's really going to hopefully bring a lot of investment into the sport of rugby in the US. So yeah, it's very exciting. And as you know, Rifle, we've said it many times, the Rugby World Cup is coming to America in 2031. So that's another event that I'm sure is going to catapult the sport of rugby in this country. I'm very confident of that. And hopefully you bear with me for another few years, Rifle, so that we could broadcast live at a Rugby World Cup event. So hopefully we could do that in a few years. I'm very excited about that. So just one thing I wanted to share here is with you, Rifle, and everybody that's watching. So yeah, so sports in America, Rifle, and I think we've spoken about this before. Sports in America is huge. And I have a little graphic here, just revenue in the major sports in America. We have the NFL at $23 billion in 2024. NBA revenue was 11.3 billion. Major League Baseball was 12.1 billion. NHL was 6.3 billion, and the MLS was $2 billion. So we're talking about, let's see, let me try to do fast math here. That's 34, 46, 52, 54 billion. So we're talking about $54 billion. That's just in revenue, ticket sales and stuff like that. We're not talking about TV contracts, merchandise for teams, and all that other great stuff. So we're probably talking about, if I had to guess, maybe 80 to 90 billion dollars a year in sports revenue. So sports is a huge industry, and teams have to stay at hotels, teams have to eat, fans have to eat. So you include all that other revenue that's tied to all the major sports leagues, and sports is a huge industry in America. And that's why, Rifle, is very exciting to be in the, I guess, uh, driver's seat, you can say, you and me, of a developing league, rugby professional rugby league. So it's very exciting to see, and hopefully the season kicks off pretty soon. That's our hope. And as you see, everybody, you can see here too, Rifle, recent sport franchise sales. So we have the Denver Broncos that went for $4.65 billion. We have the Dallas Mavericks for $3.5 billion, the Charlotte Hornets for $3 billion, the Washington Commanders sold for 6.6, a little over $6 billion, the Boston Celtics for $6.1 billion, and the LA Lakers currently holds the record for the most expensive franchise sold at $10 billion. Wow. So not only you have a lot of money revenue, but you also have a lot of money investment in buying franchises. So, if you could get into a sports league or a sports investment early in the process, you have a very, very good chance at making a good return. So that's why I'm so excited. Just learning from Earl, learning from Michael Clements, who is the commissioner of the National Rugby Football League. It's very exciting to learn from all these people. It's really cool to see. And something that I researched is parent spending on youth sports. An average parent spends between $1,500 or $1,500 to $2,000 per year on youth sports. And that's the average. So you're talking about some parents spending multiple of thousands of dollars per year on youth sports. So yeah, it's very exciting to see rugby growing. And I know, again, Rifle, you're a huge rugby fan because you're from South Africa and rugby is big in South Africa. So I was just wondering your thoughts on all these numbers that you see in front of you.
The first thing that I would say is it says their parents spending about 1,500 to 2,000. That's probably just petrol money, Danny. Goodness me, if I think of all the soccer places we have to drive, and Nathan plays rugby in Northern Virginia, I mean, just petrol alone is like $2,000, I'm sure. So that's a very low number in my estimate. But as you say, that's the average. Not everyone, not everyone's children play as much sport as everyone. So that's good. But as we have spoken before on the podcast, in America, money and sport, it's just unthinkable the amounts of money that is put into sport, whether it is, as you say, whether it's the basketball, the baseball, the hockey, the soccer, it doesn't matter. I mean, you look at the NFL, $23 billion revenue for a year. That's just, my goodness. So yeah, sport in America is big. We've spoken about America being able to make their own rules and say that we are the world champions because they can play just against their own countrymen and call themselves world champions because it's just so big. They don't need anyone else to play against them. There's just such a vast variety of teams and places that people can play in America. They don't have to leave the country to go anywhere. And that's an amazing advantage of what the American population and the American crowd can just have through sport. And a sport, as you see there, obviously different seasons. Every single season, you must just pick a sport and you'll be able to watch soccer, rugby, tennis, all these things 365 days a year. So very, very rich soccer country. Soccer's growing, but we hope that rugby, as you say, we're trying to improve rugby in America, trying to have more people watch it and just bring this amazing sport to the whole country, and let's see how it goes.
Yes. And me and Rifle are working very hard with this podcast to try to bring the sport of rugby to as many people as possible. It's very exciting stuff. And I just want to thank you, Rifle. I've said this many times, for, just going along with this crazy idea that I had. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the passion you have for the sport. And I know I've said that many times to you, but I want to say it again. Thank you, my friend.
You're very welcome.
Cool. So with that, everyone, now what I want to do is introduce my friend, Mr. Earl Davis, to the podcast. Again, this is his second time on the podcast. His first time, he was on with Mr. Kevin Smith, who I mentioned before. So yeah, this is the second time. Earl, he's right next to me. So Earl, thank you for hosting the podcast. Thank you for putting this event together. And I appreciate you, my friend. Like I said, you've been a mentor to me and Rifle over the past 7-8 years. So I appreciate all you've done for us. Thank you. So Mr. Earl Davis.
Okay. Well, again, my name is Earl Davis. Got a chance to be on podcast for a second time. Got a lot of nice friends in the backyard here as we're doing this. And I was asked to give an update on the organization called the National Rugby Football League. So the website is called thenrfl.com. And I'm going to hit enter. So what I want to say, greetings everybody. Myself, kind of like Danny, I'm a sports fan, but had never heard of rugby, never grew up with rugby, didn't know much about it. But as an investor, I was given a chance to invest. Let's go ahead and share that screen, please. There we go. So can I get a thumbs up? All right, we're waiting. So Rifle, can you see? Okay, we got it. I guess before I get there though, I want to say, how did I meet Rifle? And Rifle came through one of the courses that I was teaching. And then he came back and he came back. And Rifle's a fantastic investor himself. And we started talking about a couple of things of how people around the world, especially Americans like Rifle's kind of talking about, we're kind of we think we know everything and we really don't know much of anything, especially when it comes to professional sports. And about the same time, I met a gentleman named Michael Clemens. I'll talk about that in a minute. I was trying to bring the sport of rugby to the United States. So if you're a sports fan, and think about this, as Danny mentioned, turns out rugby is the only contact sport that's not played at an international level in the United States. So that would be a hole in our program that needs to be filled. So similarly, Michael Clemens decided to fill that void. And in the process, he was raising capital to raise this league and happened to be in the right place at the right time through a friend named Michael Stumball, who's a friend through a person named Julie Fedorenko. And that's why we're here. I love telling stories of how we got here. But the thing I like about Rifle, and we have a video one day, maybe we'll show that on the podcast one day, that Rifle and I both believe that anything that we can do to bring people together that ordinarily may not like each other, we can do. So, so what I show here, this National Rugby Football League, if you look at this, this is a media and entertainment company. It looks like a professional sports team, but it's a media and entertainment company. And I want to talk about leadership because what got my attention is I click on this and it'll be a little bit before it comes up. Yeah, a little bit of a delay. But I like built by visionaries, backed by operators. And you see who's on the advisory board. So to bring something like this to America, it takes a team of people that have a lot of firepower. So you can see that and see some of the names of some of the people. And the founder and CEO is again Michael Clemens, a guy named Michael Clemens. Through a series of events, we were being interviewed to be investors in this league. And Michael Clemens asked me, well, tell me about yourself. And I said, well, I need you to sit in a class that I teach and you'll see for yourself. It's better than me talking about myself. Come see for yourself. And they did. So why am I saying all of this? We got to be investors in the league. My wife and I are owners in the league. But Michael Clemens, what Danny was talking about, and there still may be a chance here, that you had to be an accredited investor to invest in the league. So if you like sports and you could be a part owner of a league, that's kind of like a dream come true. So we were working, Danny, and we have an avenue that we can possibly get folks who are non-accredited to still invest in the National Rugby Football League. So if we can get that through, I'm sorry to folks on the podcast, probably won't be able to offer that to you, but it's a friends and family type of thing. But Danny, I think we can figure out something for you and Rifle. Would that be okay? Okay.
Excellent.
So I just want to say that now to the sport of rugby itself, I think I would have been good at it if it had been introduced to me when I was in school, because I'm fast, I'm small, and I can run. And the thing that I like about rugby, if you've never stayed the sport, was two things. The biggest thing, it's a gentleman's sport. That the guys on the field go all out and they expect their opponents to go all out. and they leave it all on the field. But once the game is over, everyone's friends, they know their family, they know the kids, they go out and have a drink together. If there's something that went wrong, the athletes actually go and talk to each other and say, hey, they encourage each other. But on the field, they try to beat each other, which is the way sports should be. Athletic on the field, sportsmanship off the field. And I talked to Michael Clements, and I said, when you bring rugby to the U.S., are you going to try to Americanize it and bring trash talking in? And he looked at me like I had three heads. He says, no, we're going to bring sportsmanship back to professional sports and use rugby and let that permeate through all the rest of the sports. And that was it for me. Let's do this. Let's do this. And so when I offered up, if you guys are on this podcast or listening, there's 8 teams in 8 different cities. I think we'll list about those teams. But I told Michael Clements, because he allows us to invest, we will do our best to round up as many people as we can. If there's an exhibition game or something going on in the city, we will try to be represented there with people that we know. So happen to live just south of Atlanta, Georgia. I know Atlanta is one of the cities. So if you're in this and hearing this, and you live in the city of Atlanta or the state of Georgia, I'm sure we'll get in touch with each other and bring this amazing sport. And there is a timeline here. As Danny said, the United States doesn't even have a team that's worth talking about, I think. They're working on it. But one thing about this country, if it catches on and the World Cup is coming to this country, I think there's going to be some push to get the best of the best athletes in the U.S. to represent the U.S. They're going to get their butts kicked, and then give us 3 years, Danny, and we'll do it. So I want to tell you, thank you for inviting me on the podcast. Thank you for all that you do, and keep up the good work, sir. And rifle too.
Thank you.
So thank you, Earl Davis, for giving us an update. And yeah, it's, like I said, rifle is very, very exciting. And to just, again, see a professional sports league in development. And I think we've spoken about this before, rifle, just the amount of work that it takes to, just to put a professional league together. Because, you think it's just get players and have them play against each other, and, and that's it. You have a professional sports league. But it's just not, it's not only that. It takes an incredibly amount of work, an incredibly amount of people in order to make it work. And yeah, it's just exciting to see over the past couple of years, not everything that happens behind the scenes, but see some of what happens behind the scenes. So yeah, it's pretty cool to watch.
I think, when we went to DC the end of July to watch American Eagles play against England, I mean, that was just one game at a quote-unquote small soccer stadium in DC. And, that day there was electricity. There was lightning, and we had to get off the field and we had to come back. And, you think it's going to be a wonderful day and everyone's going to watch the game, and unforeseen situations and circumstances happen. And that was just one game. So England come all the way from there on a plane. They got to stay here. They got to get in a hotel. You don't expect lightning to stop a game, but it happens, and you got to work around that. And on television, they were showing the game, and the game was supposed to finish at this minute, but now you can't finish at that minute because of the storm, and people had to go out, they had to leave, and they had to come back again. So the game only finishes 40 minutes later. So now what do you do with the TV rights? What do you do with the adverts that said they're going to be on this time, this advert will be on TV? So, and that's just one game, one small game in DC. So to put, the whole sports league together and to get rugby going here, is it's absolutely gigantic. It's such a huge task. But fortunately, there are people that love the game and know how amazing the game is, and they're willing to fight, and they're willing to go the extra mile, and they're willing to put all their heart, sweat, and tears into it, because it is just such an amazing experience to sit next to a field and watch the guys and the girls just go out and give their everything. It's just wonderful. So I hope we as Americans can be successful in that.
Yes, and I hope as well that we could be successful. And I think we will, because just knowing the people who are working hard to get this done. I know a little bit about the background of Michael Clements. He is an attorney. He's an attorney, and he's run and created or founded a couple of companies. So yeah, he's a hard worker. He knows his stuff, and he being an attorney, I'm sure he's really good at negotiating and talking to people, because that's part of a job of being an attorney. Is you have to have good communication skills, you have to have good negotiation skills. To be in the courtroom, you have to, work your magic if you want to win the case or whatever the situation may be. And then you have Steve Ryan, who has a lot of experience in working in different sports leagues. If I'm not mistaken, I think he has a NASCAR background, Steve Ryan, if I'm not mistaken, marketing for NASCAR, if I'm not mistaken. And if Steve Ryan never sees this, please forgive me if I got that wrong. But I know you have some time of experience in marketing for a league, a professional league. So I don't remember which one. So please forgive me if you ever watch this. So yeah, it's very exciting. And again, Rugby World Cup coming in 2031, another exciting event that's going to be here before you know it. So a lot of exciting stuff in the rugby world in the United States. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you for watching this episode of Rugby with Rifle. Remember to press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet to support this podcast.